I'm Kirby.
There we go. There we go.
Excellent.
Thank you. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the statewide adult committee meeting for October. It looks like we have 12 people on the call. I just have a few things to go over before we get started. The first being that we're holding this meeting virtually per the Open Meetings Act to keep everyone safe during the times of COVID, we'll refer to it as. So with that being said, this meeting will be recorded and it will be posted to the department website within the next day or two. So please make sure that your phone or your computer is muted if you're not speaking or presenting, just to prevent any feedback from coming through. And please also state your name when asking a question or commenting on something, because it's helpful when capturing the minutes. I'm going to go ahead and go through the attendance. And then I'll go ahead and hand it over to Ginger. So like I said, my name is Kirby Fye. I'm here with the department. I have Albert Richardson, Elisa Lapolt, Amy Holland with the department, Avis Easley with the department, Candace Allen, our vice chair of the committee, Christina Delaney, our presenter for today, Trish Cunningham. I know we have Ginger Nasri on the phone. She's our chair of the committee. I see 3 other individuals who have called in. The individual with the last 4 digits, 2977, can you please state your name?
Samantha Slagle.
Hi, Sam. The individual with the last 4 digits, 1748.
You're on mute. Kirby, you're on mute.
Kendra Quill.
Pardon, can you say that again?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can.
Kendra Quillen.
Oh, hi. Hi. And then the last 4 digits, 6,000. Looks like you're muted. It's *6, I believe, to unmute.
Hey, this is Jan Cagle from Ridgeview. I just joined. I'm not sure if that's mine showing up.
You're the 865 number, right?
Correct.
Hi, Jan.
Hello, hello.
At 6,000 is Vonda Wagner.
Hi, Vonda.
Hi.
Okay, it looks like we have everyone. I'll go ahead and hand it over to you now, Ginger.
Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I get nervous with this *6 stuff and then the mute button on the phone too. So thank you all for joining the call today. I used to think that October and March were the hardest times in the mental health world. I'm not sure if all the months haven't melded together and every month is a hard month now, but I appreciate folks taking out time of your busy days to participate in this very important committee member. First, because I'm real excited about our presenter, Christina, and second, it's not too early for us to start talking about our needs assessment and starting to gather our thoughts and wrapping our minds around that. So I won't take much time in introducing Christina. Christina is from Northeast Tennessee, and we're very proud of the work she's doing up here with her Cherished Mom program. And I will just turn it straight over to Christina, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself and about what's happening with Cherished Mom.
Thank you so much, Ginger, and thank you to this committee for all that you do and all the professionals across the state and doing all the work in mental health. It's certainly needed right now. As Ginger said, you know, I don't think there's a month or week or day that is not unique and certainly not easy. So I appreciate you all and appreciate the time to share about me and what I do. I am a registered nurse by profession. I've been a registered nurse now for, 13 years. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. And I have since I've lived in Northeast Tennessee now for 6 years, I believe. My husband was born and raised in Jonesboro. And after the birth of our kiddos, we decided we needed more support. So we moved back over here. And I have 2 little girls. Their ages now are 8 and 6, going on 15 and 13. I'm sure some of you may be able to relate. But I am the founder and executive director of Cherished Mom. And if you're on the computer viewing, you can see some of the pictures where we've been in the last 3 years. We're a younger, smaller organization, incorporated in June 2018. And we're proud of the work that we're doing, as we feel that it's necessary and important. And you can go to the next slide, please. The reason that I started Cherished Mom, and it'll go through pictures through this as well, Kirby. The reason that I started Cherished Mom was because I experienced a crisis after the birth of my youngest, when I was 5.5 months postpartum. That's her birth, I do believe. I had C-sections after both. And it went beautifully. Our births, the second one, first one was not very pretty or fun, but the second one, I was able to have more options and choose, have a better experience than I did with my first, as I had an emergency C-section with my first. I had a lot of risk factors going into the postpartum period that, of course, I didn't know at the time, but now I do. And about 5.5 months after the birth of Sadie, I completely went outside of reality. I was never screened for any mental health issues, and also was not educated about them. I had no idea the possibilities that could happen to me emotionally after having a child. I had no mental health history of my own. So the experience that I did have completely blindsided me and my family. And so about 5.5 months postpartum, I did spend 2 weeks in a psychiatric unit, battling for my mind and my life, experiencing postpartum psychosis. And for those that don't know what postpartum psychosis is, it's one of the rarest and most severe of the perinatal mental health complications. It affects 1 to 2 in 1,000 women during or after pregnancy. And we certainly were not prepared for that possibility. I was working at the time and experiencing a lot of stress and lack of sleep, not because of the kids, because they actually slept pretty well, thank goodness, but because of stress that was going on at work. And you can go through the pictures there. And so that's me about a week after that other one was a week after delivery. This is just a couple weeks before I experienced my crisis. You can go to the next. This was again exactly a week before, so just a few days. And I share these pictures because it's so easy to think that a mom with a smile on her face may have everything together, may be joyful, but sometimes it's not true, and it certainly wasn't true in my case. And I also share that even if I was screened, I probably wouldn't have told the truth, because I didn't want anybody to know that I was a less together mom than I may have put myself out to be, or that I needed more support or assistance, because here in the South, we have just the notion of pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps and getting through it and doing things relatively independently. And you can go to the next picture. And again, this was within weeks of experiencing my crisis. So again, just the smile on your face, of a new mother's face, can be very misleading sometimes. And the expectations that we put on moms and families is incredible, especially right now. And so I went and spent 2 weeks in a psychiatric unit with postpartum psychosis. Again, we didn't know anything about that. We were completely blindsided. I was in a general unit, which I believe is not appropriate for new mothers, as men are there as well. And there's no one else there that's going through what you are to say it's going to be okay and that you're going to get through it. So I don't remember a lot of my experience on the psychiatric unit, except for what people told me, or things that I do remember. And honestly, I'd rather not. I was treated with antipsychotics, antidepressants, an occasional injection to calm me down. I did have a 24/7 sitter with me pretty much the whole time I was in the unit, to keep me safe from myself and safe from others. And in that particular unit, when you had a sitter, you couldn't go anywhere off that floor. So I was contained to my room, the day room, and the hallway. While others would go off the unit to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they would go outside and have activities and whatnot. I didn't get to participate in any of those because I had that sitter with me. So when I got home, I was extremely weak and just bumfuzzled by what I went through. I was discharged probably a bit too early, but for my circumstances and me just not getting better in that environment, I was released to go home. From there, I went to an intensive outpatient program that was not specialized. There were no other pregnant or new mothers there. And it was a variation of all kinds of diagnoses. I did find a peer support group that was not well attended. But those resources I was kind of had to find on my own. I had to do a lot of research on what I'd been through and find others who had went through it. And again, I found that information myself. And so I spent a couple weeks in the intensive outpatient program. We were not educated, and my husband is in the healthcare field, so he does know some about he knows a lot about medications, but for specific psychiatric medications, that's not his specialty. But we weren't told about, side effects, the reasons why I had so many stipulations, because I couldn't go back to work. I couldn't be by myself. I couldn't go, I couldn't drive. I couldn't be with my kids by myself. So it was a lot of support needed to take care of just me, let alone the two kiddos we had at home that were very young, 2 and 5.5 months at the time. And so there was just a lot going on, a lot to learn, a lot to navigate. I do remember about 2 weeks afterwards, being on all those new medications, I got very angry at everything that was going on, and did try to jump out of my husband's truck. And he was very quick. I should have said a trigger warning before this. I apologize. He was very quick to lock the lock button, and then I had to go get another assessment. All the guns and knives were hidden in the house. And it was just a very traumatic journey. It took about a year for recovery to take place. And I always tell people I will never be the person I was before, because of this experience. It's completely changed my life in so many ways. But one of the ways is wanting to do more for moms and families. It did not take me long to begin sharing my story. In fact, I think it was just a few months later that I began sharing, and then just getting educated about perinatal mental health in general. And so 8 months later, we moved to Northeast Tennessee, where we are now, because I had this experience in Greensboro, North Carolina, which was, by the way, only 45 minutes from the top perinatal psychiatry unit in the nation at UNC, but they only have 5 or 6 beds, I believe, and they were full. So I didn't get to go there. So when we moved to Northeast Tennessee, I had to navigate an entirely new mental health system. And I quickly realized how the lack of resources and support that were there for mothers. Since then, we have grown those resources and are incredibly proud of our region. for all the collaborative and community efforts that have been put in place. But of course, we know that takes time. And so Cherished Mom came to be about 3 years ago. And that's the passion and my story that brought me to founding and organizing a nonprofit that is truly dedicated to educating and supporting moms and families in the community. You can go to the next slide, please. And our mission is promoting awareness, education, and support for perinatal mood disorders to moms, families, healthcare professionals, and the community. And we have done a lot of that in the last 3 years, a lot of presentations, a lot of communicating, and whatnot. So in my journey in founding this nonprofit, and I essentially ended up leaving my full-time nursing job 3.5 years ago to get more educated and to pursue full-time advocacy and the nonprofit sector. But in my education and learning, there's things that we should know about perinatal mental health. So I put some of the facts and statistics here that you may or may not know. Women in their childbearing years account for the largest group of Americans with depression. And maternal and perinatal depression is the most common complication of childbirth, affecting up to 20%, which is 1 in 5 mothers. And that is actually pre-pandemic numbers. It is much higher now, probably more around 50 to 70%. There are more new cases of mothers suffering from maternal depression each year than women diagnosed with breast cancer. And suicide is the leading cause of death in the postpartum period. And that could have been me, either through my experience with postpartum psychosis very, very acutely, or even discharged shortly after. And I'm just grateful to still be here to share and change the conversations that we're having for mothers and families, because ultimately it affects their children and their bonding. It can affect breastfeeding. It just can affect a lot of things, especially if a mother completes suicide. That mom is no longer here. So I'm incredibly passionate about maternal suicide and how we can prevent that. So despite the prevalence of maternal mental health disorders, they are largely undiagnosed and untreated. And that's about 75% of women who experience symptoms go untreated. And I think we can do a lot around to change that. Go to the next slide, please. So some of the programs that we offer, we have our support groups that we've been running for almost 3 years now. And I'm not going to show that video right now, but y'all can take a look at that. It was included in the email, I do believe. But we have support groups for perinatal mental health, NICU support groups, and a perinatal grief and loss group. And it's one of our most impactful programs that moms can come, feel supported, feel heard, in a non-judgmental space and atmosphere. We have our Mama U program, which is actually the program that got us started initially. It's changed over the last year, but moms can go and get education, view videos, and complete a course, and they receive incentives for that education. Because I'm very passionate also about the education around maternal mental health. I was not educated about it. And in my follow-up appointment with my OBGYN, which I didn't have to go to, but I did, I told him that I was a registered nurse. I didn't know much about postpartum depression and knew nothing about postpartum psychosis. And his response to me was, that's a heck of a way to find out about it. And it didn't affect me until before I started Cherished Mom, when I said, that is not okay. And so we have educational materials and, of course, videos and informative presentations like I am doing today with you all. And I appreciate that so much. You can go to the next slide, please. So how others can get involved, sharing their story, writing a blog, share what we do, or volunteer and donate. As I stated, we are a nonprofit organization and thrive on community. Next slide, please. So we through our programs, we're always looking for local, national, statewide businesses to help us reach more mothers. Of course, you can share our mission, programs, and what we do with your staff, friends, families, and neighbors, because you never know who may be needing the services or support that we offer. And of course, if your organization or company employs or reaches moms, families in any way, we would be happy to do a presentation or do some education or any consulting you may need. And of course, if you believe in what we do and want to see our programs continue, grow, and or expand, we of course accept donations of any kind. You can, next slide, please. I think that should be about it. Nope, it's not. This is information about our support groups. As I said, we have our perinatal group, which they're all virtual at this time. We have made the difficult decision to not do any in-person events for the rest of the year. And some more information about peer support programs, because that is particularly what we are interested in, as well as education. So according to Mental Health America, peer support programs increase social support and participation in the community. They reduce symptoms and improve well-being, self-esteem, and social functioning. They decrease lengths of hospital stays and costs of services, and they encourage more thorough and longer-lasting recovery. Untreated maternal mental health can be very costly in more ways than just financial, but it's extremely costly financial. That's a nationwide problem. But these are the support groups that we offer. They're all on virtual, like I said. Our perinatal support group is just moved to every week, and actually need to update that flyer because it's not correct. Actually, no, just kidding. Yes, it is. Sorry about that. I was reading the in-person. They are Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. We have a monthly NICU support group and our perinatal grief and loss group, which y'all are going to be the first to hear this. We are going to have that ongoing bi-weekly on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, starting at the end of the month. And that is our only support group that is led by a specialized therapist. So we're excited about that as well. You can go to the next slide, please. This is just some of the impact we have made in 2020. A lot of people come to our website to look for information. We've served a lot of moms and families, whether it's through our programs or educating them or supporting them directly. We launched a lot of new programs last year and really didn't let the pandemic stop us from what we were doing, because we know how important it is. And there's not many dedicated organizations to maternal mental health statewide or nationwide. And of course, there's our revenue, which was last year. And so, yeah, that's more about our impact. I think the last slide is how you can get in touch. So that's our phone number, email, and website there. And that is all I have to share. I hope that you've learned something. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And again, I'm so appreciative for this opportunity to share with you today.
Hi, Christina. This is Ginger. Can you share a little bit about the education process that your group had worked with and trying to get clinicians? I know here at Frontier we had several people to sign up for that training and complete that training. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and what impact you hope that will have?
Yes, absolutely. We just completed a grant with the Tennessee Department of Health at the end of September, which was a part of their maternal mortality programs, where we offered scholarships, statewide scholarships for professionals, advocates, providers to go to Postpartum Support International training, which is the top-notch preferred training around perinatal mental health. It's a 2-day training. It's a really deep dive into treatments, disorders, and supports around maternal mental health. And so that is the training that we utilize to be sure that therapists that we refer to are trained, because it does make a difference if you have a trained therapist around maternal mental health or whether you do not. And so locally, we started with no one to refer to. And in, I think it was April 2019, we brought the first PSI training to the state of Tennessee, and had hundreds there. And we were able to start building our resource list. And now it started small and it's grown to over 24 professionals just in Northeast Tennessee that we really try our best to keep up to date. And we refer professionals the best we can to that training.
Thank you, Christina. This is Ginger again. I have so much admiration for Christina and her tenacity, and I'm so excited about the support groups being virtual, because now they're not limited to Northeast Tennessee. So this resource is something that can be utilized statewide, hopefully, in getting people connected. But more importantly, it just takes one person to keep nagging, and then getting that training. And then once one person gets trained, it kind of snowballs a little bit, to have those experts in your community to refer folks to. So it's been an I will say slow starting, but exciting journey for us to partner with Christina and others in the community to help this grow. So I'll be quiet and let other people share questions too. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Ginger. Appreciative of you. And I've been known to be pleasantly persistent. Many people have told me that before.
Christina,
Any
this
other
is
questions?
Albert. Christina, this is Albert Richardson. Can you give us a little more information on how you can make a donation, or agency can make a donation to your agency? And thank you for sharing with us, okay?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Albert, for being here and for your question. We accept donations through our website. The checks can be mailed. And we also have an account where we can accept I believe they're called distributable contributions, whether you have stocks or bonds or things to donate as well. So we are able to accept pretty much any and all donations. And we also accept in-kind donations because we try to put together
I think her computer froze. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, Kirby.
I think Christina's computer froze.
Okay, Kirby, can you provide the information? Kirby, can you send out the information to those on the line?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kirby.
Thanks, Kirby.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, I guess since Christina is inadvertently pulled away from the call, this is Ginger again. I guess we can move on to the next part of our agenda, if that's okay with everybody. Kirby, are you okay with that?
Yeah, and I actually have one little update I'd like to give before we move to the needs assessment, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Actually, even before I get to that, I see a few people join the call. I see Evelyn Jurgen, you're on the call. Is there anyone else I missed on the call?
Patrick Starnes.
Hi, Patrick. Hi, Patrick.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Kirby, it's Shara Biggs. I'm also on.
Oh, hey, Shara.
Hey.
So we're going to make sure he get there. You know, she went to the house over the weekend.
Did I miss anybody else? And Christina, if you'd like, if you want to send me that information from the end of your presentation on how to donate and things like that, I'll be happy to share with the committee members.
Okay, sure thing. I had to pop off and sign on. Hopefully y'all can hear me now, but I will be happy to do that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It happens, technology.
I know.
But anything you would like me to share to the committee, please send to me via email and I will get it out to them ASAP. And thank you for presenting today.
Awesome.
So just a brief update about the needs assessment before we get into that discussion. As you know, in the past, typically we would have 2 mental health needs and 2 substance abuse needs that we would submit for the adult committee would submit annually for the needs assessment summary. There's a slight change moving into 2022, and this stems from a legislative proposal that was submitted from Region 2, where they had suggested expanding the needs assessment to include more needs, not just 4. So what Commissioner Williams has decided to do with that is leave the option of submitting anywhere from 2 to 6 needs. So you can go up to 6 needs, you can remain with 4, or if you only have 2 identified needs, you can move forward with that. It's really whatever the committee decides. The only stipulation there is that it has to be equal number of mental health and equal number of substance abuse needs. So if you're going to go with 2, it has to be 1 of each. And obviously, if you're going to go with 6, it's got to be 3 of each. Data is still required. That hasn't changed at all. It's just Commissioner Williams wanted to leave the option there that if you're a region or a committee that has more than 4 needs, which I'm sure is the case across the state, you have that option. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to you and you can go from there.
Hi, Kirby. It's Ginger again. Well, that's great news because I think we struggled in years past trying to smash up needs and you know, kind of doing a Dairy Queen blizzard and putting them all in one. And this might help us be able to separate things out better and maybe get more specific with our data, supportive data for things too. So while on the one hand, I'm not looking forward to writing about more problems, on the other hand, that's the way you get things done. So that's amazing. Thank you all. Thank Region 2. If there's any folks on the call from Region 2 that promoted that legislative change, that was amazing. Thank y'all. If you haven't had a chance to go to the department's website and click on the planning button, that's where you'll find the needs assessment for last year and previous years, and also the needs assessment summary. So I did pull those off so we could quickly chat about what we proposed for last year and for us to begin thinking and talking about that for next year. The adult committee proposed to focus in mental health on more permanent housing opportunities for transitional housing and respite services to aid the homeless or potentially homeless individuals, with the focus on inpatient hospitals, emergency departments, and jails, to have some wraparound services around that. The other mental health need, just to remind everybody, was to enhance workforce development, for us to hopefully obtain and retain highly qualified professionals across the state. For our substance abuse need, we identified recovery housing to include peer-run recovery residents, halfway houses, and three-quarter housing options. And also under substance abuse, we wanted to help identify the need to increase educational opportunities for clinicians, health councils, educators, communities, faith-based organizations, and business partners to help reduce the stigma related to substance abuse disorders and treatment. So that was a lot that we recommended last year, and our recommendations fell in line with those from the different regions across the state. We hopped in on almost every different region in one way or another. So if you look at that 2021 needs assessment summary, that'll kind of give you an idea where lots of people were thinking about the needs in our state. So I'll be quiet for a minute and see if anybody has any comments or questions, or let's start off with some discussions, because April will be here before we know it, guys. We know how fast the world is spinning.
This is Jan from Region 2, and I'm wondering how the commissioner's allowance to increase the needs assessment recommendations is going to affect our committee. Are we going to be able to put forth up to 6 as well?
Oh yeah, so it's going to be every regional council, the consumer advisory board, the adult committee, and the children's committee. You all have the option of submitting 2 to 6 needs.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to
Great.
talk about that at the Region 2 meeting. I'm just announcing it at each meeting as they happen.
Yay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Sam from Region 1. Can you hear me? Yes, Sam, we can. Okay. And Region 1's getting ready to go through kind of a new frontier with our Bristol, Virginia counterparts getting gambling. We're getting casinos in Virginia, which is really probably going to spill more over into Tennessee, which is very much an adult problem, and we'll end up on our Region 1 as well. We don't really have any infrastructure whatsoever to deal with gambling addiction, all those pieces. So that might be something that we want to consider on this corner, and with it being a specific adult kind of concept. Although what I'm hearing as I'm learning all the woes that might come with this is it's really going to impact families, going to impact housing. But it doesn't so much fit in the substance abuse world, and there's no real access or diagnosis for this. Therefore, paying for the services for these folks might be an issue. So that might just be something that we want to think about. And then obviously the workforce crisis is worsening from my world, it seems like. So those are some thoughts on this corner.
Yeah, this is Candace from Region 2, and I know that we'll be, putting a lot of attention into our needs assessment, but I would echo the workforce, and I really think we need to kind of hit home on that, because I don't think that really went anywhere with maybe the committee that they developed. So I think, I would like to propose that we really put a lot of time and energy into that again, as I know we did the last time, but I think everybody across the state will echo that this is a problem. It needs to be treated with parity. So.
This is Avis. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to chime in on the workforce piece, and I know we have, good morning to everybody. We have Albert on the line too, and so Albert, feel free to chime in on this, or if I leave anything out, just wanted to make the committee aware of, since the department has taken on looking at workforce development through the workforce development work group. They are developing a workforce development plan. It is in process right now and is currently being reviewed. The councils will have an opportunity to review that plan and make any comments on that plan once it is available. So the committee may have a different approach as far as what they put on their needs assessment after they see this workforce development plan, or members of the council see this workforce development plan. The executive committee will also be meeting, and I know Ginger is a part of that as the chair of the adult committee. So once the executive committee meets as well to discuss this, Ginger, you probably will have the opportunity to share some information with the adult committee. And so that's where we are right now with the workforce development group and work plan. Albert, did I leave anything out? Because I know you're serving as a representative of this council and the chair on that committee as well. Did I leave anything out on that?
No, Avis, I think you cover everything.
Okay. Hopefully that information is and will be helpful to this committee as well as you prepare your needs assessments.
Hi, Avis.
Yes.
So just to go back to Sam's comment about the casinos being built in Bristol and gambling addiction programs and things like that. So those do fall under substance abuse. It's under their treatment and recovery program.
Yes.
In substance abuse. So I don't see there being an issue if the committee did raise concerns about gambling addiction, how that could fall under substance abuse. There are programs, it's online, and different outpatient services and things like that. Obviously not as highlighted as much as substance abuse, but there are programs available, but I don't see that being an issue if that was something you wanted to bring attention to and putting it in the substance abuse category.
Absolutely, Kirby, that is correct. Since that does fall under there, feel free to include that under substance abuse. And, as the committee looks at those, if you wanted to expand to six needs versus the 4, that could be one that if it reaches the priority, if it's priority for the committee to add that could be one of the ones you prioritize under substance abuse. That is correct.
Thank you, Kirby. Thank you, Avis.
Absolutely.
This is Ginger again. Does anyone else have any comments or concerns we can kind of follow up on? I can kind of review the needs assessment summary overall for last year was to enhance the children's and youth crisis continuum, enhance peer recovery and support services, increase transitional housing, improve workforce development, increase school-based mental health education services and screenings. All of those were under mental health. For substance abuse across all of the committees was to increase recovery housing, increase funding and the number of and access to residential and detox beds, increase prevention programs for at-risk youth, and again, workforce development even under substance abuse issues. So Candace, that kind of reaffirms the urgency of the workforce development crisis that we have.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll be frank. Part of the difficulty even with housing is being able to hire that level of staff to staff supportive housing is a real challenge too. I think we focus a lot on professional needs, but it's that direct service need too.
Agreed.
Yes. Yes.
Kirby and Avis, what I might want to get a little, maybe I can pick you all's brains a little bit. to see if we can provide some data and some information for the committee next year about any increases that we have seen in transitional housing and recovery housing, and see if we need to keep, because we've focused on this for many years, and we do know that we've made progress, incremental progress every year. Is this something that we need to still stay focused on? Is it still, and maybe if you all could help me with a few numbers, that might help the committee with some decision making. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so Ginger, this is Avis again. Ginger, we are in the process right now, and this is something that Kirby is gathering from the regions, and we'd be happy to include the adult committee on this. For the December meeting, Elena Mahandro, who is our research director, has asked us to get with the regions to ask them if there is any specific data or data resources that they would like more information about, or how to find it. And she's going to put a presentation together about this, and also we're going to do a data resource page. So if this is something that you're needing assistance with as far as data, yes, we can pass that on to our research director. If there's any other data that you all can think about, or information related to COVID, because a lot of the agencies have been dealing with, of course, COVID issues for the past almost 2 years. So any data that you all need assistance with or resources, if you would not mind, just let us know. You can send Kirby an email with that list, and we can pass it on to Dr. Alejandro, and she can help with that as well for the needs assessment. So absolutely, we can help with that, Ginger.
Okay.
Ginger,
I for sure would like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is Evelyn, and I want to ask a question. Maybe it's just a Davidson County issue, and maybe it's just an Evelyn issue. But are other regions having issues with not enough licensed group homes? Because one thing, the amount of money that they receive, and the fact that they too cannot find staff for their homes. So is that just a problem that I'm having here in Davidson County?
Evelyn,
No, ma'am.
Ginger,
Sorry, it's Candace. I was just going, no, ma'am. It's a problem here for sure in Knoxville.
Okay. And I'm just wondering, is there anything, a promotion or anything doing to encourage people to maybe have licensed group homes? Because it's getting very scarce here, and you're talking about walking a thin line.
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn, this is Avis. Do you think, and this is just questions, do you think it's due to COVID, or you think it's due to something else? Was this an issue prior to COVID as far as getting staff or retaining staff?
It probably started about the same time as COVID. And also, speaking for Davidson County, everything is so high here, property is high and taxes is high. And with what our clients and consumers are paying out of their check, it's just almost impossible to have staff and keep your property up when they're only paying a portion of their SSI check and they're not getting any additional funds.
Okay.
Yeah, and also, this is Patrick. Go ahead, Avis. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Patrick. Only thing I was
going
to say was... No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I'll hold my thought. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that in addition to that, I think I heard Candace say that this is absolutely correct. It's all over the state. I've even gotten feedback myself that is all over the state. It's just not Davidson County, to speak to exactly what you said, Evelyn. And that's all I was going to add. Now, go ahead, Patrick. Sorry about interrupting.
No problem at all. I hate to be the devil's advocate, but I beg to differ with the comment that Ms. Evelyn made about the COVID. It started right after COVID. I've been doing supportive housing quite a while now. It's always been an issue. It's been an issue since day one that I started. And I'll give you an example of what I mean is that when you have a licensed facility, and I'm not going to go too far into details, but many of you do supportive living know a little bit of what I'm talking about. But when you have a licensed facility, you ask to house how many ever your license you get licensed for. The checks, the minimum amount or the base amount of checks is somewhere close to $800. Okay, if you got a staff, which you are required to have, you have a mortgage, and then trying to pay staff for 24/7, trying to carry a mortgage and take into account that each individual only base amount is somewhere around 800. If you had, and I'll do real quick math, 6 people in a house or 8 people in a house, minimum rate, I'll say $600. That's very minimal. That's $4,800. You pay staff 24 hours, pay a staff for 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. That's under $7 to pay a staff and to pay a mortgage, and still make sure that these individuals have the best life or living that they can have, and those that are really caring about the individual that they're bringing to their house. It's rough. I don't know when the last time it's been looked at as far as the amount that the supportive living houses are being afforded from the state or anywhere else to get funding, but we're out here in the trenches and we are suffering, especially in Davidson County. You can't rent a house 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom under $2,200, $2,300, and add that piece into accepting the pay that each individual pay to live. It's getting very, very, very bad. It was bad, but it's getting very bad now. And again, I could go in more details if anyone want to know exactly how I'm surviving that. But again, I appreciate Ms. Evelyn, you bringing that to everyone's attention. But it's tough out here. Even the COVID now has added a twist to what was already an existing problem.
Yeah. Hey, this is Shara. I do want to jump in on this too, because I've been working with our group homes in Davidson County for several years. And I know they have sat, as Patrick has run down the math. I mean, they have sat and done the math to try to figure out, how to make it work when we have consumers, they're on fixed income and they're getting, the same amount basically every year. And yet the cost of living is increasing. And I'm, as far as the state, I'm representing Davidson County, but I'm also in several other counties where it's the same thing. It's there's just lack of funding to help people who might be interested in opening a group home. They just don't have the means to get started or to maintain it up to the standards that we want for our consumers. We don't want our consumers, falling victim to, slumlords. And unfortunately, I know in Davidson, that's what we see a lot. We have consumers with very high needs who, we try to put some trust into landlords or group homeowners that we, don't know much about. And it ends up being a detrimental situation for consumers. Because we can't take back the time that they have been there already, possibly being victimized in one way or another. And so I feel like across the state, just in a very dire situation when it comes to housing our folks. There's just not options, and we have group homes opening. I mean, we have had some great group homes open recently with the CHIEF funding. But it seems like for every group home that opens, we are having to say, don't house anybody in like these 5 other homes. So it's very heartbreaking, to be honest.
Yes.
This is Ginger again. Thank you all for that input, and I did jot that down. And I would just like to add, I think the urgency of this is pre-COVID, especially when you're trying to keep quality staff in these homes, and the finances that Patrick outlined so well impact what you can pay people. And if you want quality people, you have to pay quality people.
Mhm.
I think there might be an opportunity in just thinking about, is there technology that can be used to offset something? So maybe instead of having someone there 24 hours a day when some people sleep, is there a way to use technology to mind the house from, say, 10 to 6 a.m., and then you can save a whole shift of
It's a
personnel?
state requirement, Ginger. I'm
It's a
sorry to
state-
butt in, but it's
Yeah.
a state
State
requirement.
requirement.
24/7.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a state requirement, but is there a way that we can change that requirement?
Honestly, with the population that we're talking about, I think we need a person physically there. There are some levels of, group home settings where that might be more appropriate, but for the licensed homes, we're talking about people who, they might not necessarily be sleeping at night. They may, that may be when their psychosis is really kind of kicked up, or, they have needs, and we need a person physically in the home.
But is there a transitional group of people that might would work for, to take the stress off of the other home? I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out.
No, I
again,
think so. And I think we do have, at least I think I can think of maybe a couple of people in Davidson that do utilize technology for when they can't have a person in the home. And we do need those types of homes as well. But it's just a different, we're looking at people who are able to, they're maybe more stable, or, able to kind of maintain themselves independently.
Well, this has been a great discussion. Thank you all. I do want to be mindful of everybody's time. And I've hit 12 o'clock here in East Tennessee. So I'm sure you guys are trying to wrap up your mornings too. I appreciate everybody's input, and I've jotted down a few notes, and I know that the folks there at the department help keep the minutes too. So we'll shoot this back out and then have some more discussion at our next meeting if everybody's up for that. Kirby, do I need to cover anything else before we wrap up?
I don't have anything else.
Our next meeting, I don't have that written down. My apologies, guys.
It's in,
it's
it's January 12th.
January 12th. So, again, I can't thank y'all enough for the input. It's really, really helpful. It's nice to know that we have the same kind of issues across the state too, and none of us are alone. I appreciate the feedback. So, okay, well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ginger.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.